Okay, fairly short video for us today. This is mostly review, but it was on the syllabus, so I thought I would go over a few things just for review as we start working on this um, literature review assignment. So today we're going to talk about using your sources to write your thesis statement, because you will, remember, be turning in your thesis statement to me next Wednesday. So that's one of the announcements we've got. Make sure that you've found your sources that you need, because you will have to turn in that thesis statement to me a week from Wednesday, which is today, the day that I'm actually recording this. So make sure that you have those three sources and you have a good general idea of what they say. You don't have to know everything about everything that they say. But you need to have a good enough general idea about them that you can write a thesis statement that argues about how those pieces are written. Also, don't forget to complete your quiz. I have posted that and it will be live on Thursday morning. And also make sure you're doing your discussion assignment for full attendance for your full attendance credit. I feel like I'm talking to a wall because I keep saying this and people keep not doing it, so I guess I'm just gonna have to keep saying it. But make sure you do all of the things you need for your full attendance credit, as well as coming to class. That's obviously a part of it as well. All right, so a little bit, we talked about this the other day, but I'm gonna go over it really quickly. When you're taking notes over your sources, now that you've found, today, Thursday will be the last day that we're doing research in class, and hopefully in that time you will have found your three sources. But as you start taking notes over those sources, some of the things you need to think about is, what argument is the writer trying to make? So you need to be clear in each one of these sources that you know what the argument is that the writer's making there. What's their point of view, which is also slightly different than the argument. So what are they trying to convince the audience of, and what point of view are they writing from? Also think about, how does the writer make that argument? What tools are they using? Because these are things you're going to be discussing in your literature review, is how the different writers are what the tools that they're using to make their argument, to convince their audience of their point of view. And how does the writer's argument and point of view speak to your thesis statement or your argument? So you may be finding sources that don't agree with your point of view, and that's fine. That's the whole point of this assignment, is to be able to understand how to find an argument within a source and how those different writers are making their arguments. So how does the writer's argument speak to yours? Does it agree with your point of view? Is it different from your point of view? How is it going to compare and contrast with your other sources as well? So make sure when you're reading your sources, think about those things, because those are the things that you're going to have to expound on when you start writing this literature review. Also, I like to just remind people, when you find sources that you want to use, don't lose them. Sometimes when you have this huge list of stuff, you start clicking through and you find stuff that you want, and then it gets lost within the rest of the sources you find. When you've got hundreds of thousands of choices, you find something, you find a quote that looks really good, but then you can't remember what it came from. So make sure that you're taking notes as you go along. You're keeping up with everything that you find that you want to use. So make sure that you note where or how you found the source. So was it a Google Scholar search? Was it Galileo? For this first assignment, everything should be found through Galileo. But what were the search words that you used? So thinking about what actual search terms that you used to find it can help you find it again if you lose track of it. The information that you will need for your citations, your works cited page. Make sure you're getting all that information down. We talked about that on the other video on Tuesday, about the information that you're going to need. And when in doubt, again, go to Purdue OWL or go to the MLA handbook, and find out what information you're going to have to put on that works cited page. Make sure you're keeping up with that as you go, so you don't have to go back at the end and have to find all that information all over again, because it's not fun when you got to do that. If at all possible, send it to yourself. You can email it to yourself. I know email was down yesterday, but I think it seems to be working now. Or print it out, so you don't have to go back and find it again later. Or, like I said, there are those note-taking softwares that will automatically put web links into a folder for you so you can just click and go right back to it and that kind of stuff. But I personally like to work on actual paper. I like to print stuff out so I can write notes on it. I can highlight stuff and do that kind of thing. But you figure out what works best for you. So if it works just to email it to yourself and you have it all in one place, maybe save them on a folder on your desktop or something like that. Just figure out what works best for you, but make sure that you're keeping up with that, all those sources and how you found them. Note how you're going to use the source. So is this going to be part of your counter argument? Is this going to be part of your argument? Which one of your, the subtopics are you going to use it to support? So you've got your main argument and you're going to prove or convince your main argument through different subpoints, subtopics throughout your paper. So which one of these different points that you're trying to make in your paper does this particular source support? So make notes on that and make sure maybe use different colors I like to use different colors in highlighters. So this particular point, everything's highlighted in yellow. And this particular point, everything's highlighted in orange. It helps me visually to organize things that way. So again, figure out what works best for you, but make sure that you're clear. So that way, when you start to organize it, you can group your sources in different quotes and paraphrases and summaries and things that you're going to use into almost like an outline, like under which subtopic each one of the sources is going to fit. And then just a little reminder about writing thesis statements. Remember that a thesis statement needs to be these three things. It needs to be arguable. So it has to be, you're not giving me just a fact. You have to give me a thesis statement that there are people who disagree with you, that they disagree with your point of view. So it must state a point of view or a judgment about a topic. It can't just tell me what the topic is. It has to give a distinct point of view. It also must be supportable. So the thesis statement must contain a point of view that can be supported with evidence. This is why you're finding these sources. This is where you're finding those reasons, those facts, those examples. All of that is within your sources. So you can make an argument, but if you can't support your argument, then you're not going to be able to fill out your paper. So make sure that it is something that you are going to be able to find sources that will support your point of view. It also must be specific. If you've got something that's crazy broad, that's going to be way too much information to try and cover to convince, then see if you can narrow it down and make it a little bit more specific. Want it to be precise enough to allow for a coherent argument. Again, we talked about coherence. If you watched the debate last night, that's not a coherent argument. That what happened last night was not coherent. You want to be very supportive of your topic, and you want to clearly lay out all of your ideas and not just kind of yell at the audience, which is pretty much what happened last night. That's my view on that. And remain focused on the topic. Again, not what happened last night. So make sure that you have got a specific thesis statement that is going to be able to, that you're going to be able to argue, a point of view, and to support. Remember that your thesis statement must be in this format. So claim, or in other words, argument. So your argument, because, and then you give me your reasons. I say reason or reasons, but with a 7-page paper, you're going to need more than one reason. And so, this is my argument because this reason, and this reason. The basic format that you need that's going to make a clear, arguable, supportable thesis statement. I'm going to be able to tell what your argument is. I'm going to be able to tell the reasons that you're going to use throughout your paper to support that argument. When writing your thesis, do not just state your subject. Just don't tell me what your topic is. That's not a thesis statement. That's not an argument. That's just a statement of your subject. You did that in your topic essay. You told me what your subject was. You've already done that. Now you're doing an argument. Do not make an unreasonable or outrageous claim, something that you can't prove. Make sure that it's something that you can find those sources to support. Don't just present an obvious fact or a statement that no one disagrees with. Your thesis statement can't be the sky is blue. No one's going to argue with that except for possibly some colorblind people. So, this is something that has to have more than one side to it that people disagree with. And again, don't make a statement that's too broad. Make sure it's something that can be narrowed down, that is specific enough that you can make a really strong claim for. And when you go back and revise that thesis, make sure that and when you're writing it, think about this too, pinpointing and replacing all non-specific words like people. When you say people, The only time I ever want you to use the word people is when you're talking about every single person that exists, every single human. So when you say people breathe oxygen, that's one thing. But when you're talking about people need to vote for this person for president, that's which people? Obviously, not everybody on the face of the earth can vote for America's president. So Americans should. Tell me which people you're talking about. When you say everything, society or life, just things that are very generic, make sure that you are pinpointing and replacing those, and you're making it as specific as possible. Remember, that's one of the things your thesis statement should be. It should be specific. Make sure that you clarify ideas that need explanation by asking yourself questions and narrowing down your thesis. So if it feels too broad, and when you're turning in your thesis statement to me, I will tell you and you'll be turning in your thesis statement for your research argument as well. And I'll tell you if it's seeming too broad, if you need to kind of narrow it down a little bit. So make sure that you are asking yourself questions and you're thinking, can I go deeper in this? Like, what specific part of this is my interest and what can I focus on? Make sure you replace any linking verbs with action verbs. Remember, you are writing in active voice, not passive voice. So any form of the linking verb to be, so am, is, are, was, were, has, had, have, all of that, if that's the verb in your thesis statement, and really throughout the rest of your paper, you should be writing as much in active voice as you can. Make sure that, like it says, a verb that, when you say to be, just means it exists. That's not you need an argument, not just saying something is there. And make sure that you're omitting any general claims that are hard to support. Again, being specific, being arguable, being supportable. So really, that's all that we are going to talk about today. So remember to work on that. I don't know if y'all can hear my stomach growling. It's time for lunch. Remember to finish up your research. If you're having trouble finding sources, let me know. I can help you possibly, but definitely use the folks in the library. They are the ones that know specifically how to find probably exactly what you're looking for. That is what they're there for. Use them for that purpose, to help you find what you need. And keep working on finding that research and developing your thesis. If you're having any questions or any concerns about it, just let me know and I can help you. Just send me an email. All right, everyone, have a good day.